Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in Chicago, Illinois. It is a cloudy, chilly day, but it is time for another live stream. Today is Sunday, January 24th, 2021. Hope you guys are doing well. Everyone listening on the podcast version, welcome. Hope you guys are having a good run out there. And everyone watching on YouTube, either live or after the fact, welcome, everybody. Today, it was snowing a little bit for my run, and I thought that would mean and when I saw that in the forecast, I thought that would be like nice and picturesque, but it was one of those like gray, like freezing rain kind of snows. And I was like, as soon as I got outside, I was like, oh, I'm way underdressed for today. But I wasn't way underdressed. It wasn't too bad. It was for the first couple of miles, I was like, this could be real bad. But despite the headwind that I had for the first half of the run, it ended up being okay. So hopefully you guys had a good run today too. Let's see who else is here today. We got David Lidstone here. David just completed the 1K time trial with his brother out there. Saw the video. Really good work. Philip Bourne says, hi, everyone. What's going on, Philip? Innes says, cowbell for David and Daniel for their 1 kilometer time trials. Awesome. Great work. I put a question in the comments, and I don't know if you had a chance to see that, David, but like, so on where David and his brother did this 1K time trial, there's this like stretch of, I want to call it road, but it's like it was so narrow. It looked like one car could fit on it at a time. And there was a sign on it that said, maybe I just didn't listen carefully enough to the video, but there was a sign on that stretch of road that said measured kilometer. And there was a marker to let you know like where to start and where to end, like a street sign. Not like, it didn't look like a sign for runners. It looked like a street sign. Why would that exist? Why is that there? Anyone? David, do you know that? Or is it just like a nice convenient thing that like runners in the air are like, yep? Or is that something that people do for runners over there? I know in that part of the world, people are pretty run crazy. Here in the US, I mean, they kind of do stuff like that sometimes, but not really. Albert Long is here, says, hi, everyone. What's going on, Albert? Good to see you. And Louis Becerra says, yo, what's going on? David Prabhu's here. Good to see you again, David. And John is here. She did a tough 16K long run on muddy, hilly trails today. Ooh, good work. Very good work. Awesome. I got some coffee for today because I'm chilly. Lately, we've been going on a lot of family walks here. The lakefront is open for getting exercise. You can't play there. The playgrounds aren't open. Those are all closed. But you can go and walk through there. That's where I've been running. But we've been going as a family. There's a loop that we've been doing that's just shy of 3 miles. We got to figure out a way to make it a little bit longer to make it like that 3 mile distance. But yeah, it's been good to kind of get just everyone outside, get some fresh air, trying to stay as socially distant as we can. And I think we can do a pretty good job for the most part. So, there's just people. So you're never going to completely avoid people around here. But, we're all masked up and trying to stay safe and trying to have the kids have a good time. Right now, they've been enjoying throwing snow at us, like me and my wife. And then they're fascinated by the geese that are swimming in the slushy Lake Michigan water. So that's what we've been doing. So it's a long way of saying I'm extra tired because I've gone an extra 6 miles of walking over the weekend too. It's been 2 hours total for those 2 days. Because, my wife and I, we could probably walk a little bit faster if it was just the two of us, but we've got the kids and they get distracted and there's stroller involved. So, we're doing what we can. Leona says, happy Sunday, everyone. Hope to get some much needed rain in the Bay Area. Very cool. Hopefully you guys get that. JC says, happy Sunday. Awesome. Martha says, hey friends, what are your times, David and Daniel? I've been on Zoom much of the day, so not caught up on videos. Yeah, I'll let David spoil it, but they both hit their goal, I think. So that's I guess I just spoiled it. But I won't tell you the times, but it was good. It was really good. Jeff says, hello, everyone. Hope you enjoyed your day. I ran an easy 10, helped my youngest build a PC as a gift for a friend. Feeling very accomplished. What a great gift. That's a great gift idea. I mean, I know that's not the cheapest gift. I mean, it's better than when I go to the toy store and I'm asking the lady, what's a good gift for a fourth grade or a third grade boy, But that's really cool. That's a really cool thing. My wife and I have talked about building our own computer for a long time. Um, well, I think I'm trying to think. Was the last time my wife, because my wife has built a computer before, and we're trying to think like, I'm trying to think when was the last time my wife and I had that conversation. It was probably before we had kids, so it's been 9 years, I think, since we had that. I want to say we've had that conversation since then, but I also find it hard to imagine that that would be something that I would discuss or bring up like post children. Like just I don't know. Like maybe in a couple of years when my kids are a little bit older, then that's something that we can kind of manage or try and tackle around here. But we'll see. But that sounds like a lot of fun, and I do think that's like a super thoughtful gift. Leona had her first run in the Kofuzi Path Project shirt today. Super comfy, light, and breathable. Awesome. I'm glad you like it, Leona. Excellent. Let's see what else we got down here. And here's David with his times for today. He came in at 2:53, and his brother came in at 2:54. Just a second in it for the win. I was trying to think about, like, I don't think I've ever run a 1K, like raced a 1K. But I used to, there was a time, I think in like junior high and maybe even into high school, where I did race the 800. And I've been trying to think of like what my time was for that. This would have been back when I was like, maybe about somewhere around David's age, maybe like 15 or 16. And I was not a very talented 800-meter runner. I think my time was somewhere like 2:43 or something like that. Very unremarkable for an 800. I want to say that's about where it was. So I was trying to like extrapolate to like, what would it be for the 1K at that age? Is way slower than what David and his brother were able to do. So good work, guys. Teddy Man Tactico is here. What's going on, Teddy Man? And Vegan Runner's here. What's going on, Vegan? VR. John says, he says evening all, or Vegan Runner says evening all. Sean says, has a return to a smaller space been challenging? It has been. My wife and I were talking about this yesterday. She was talking about like how's the transition been. I think it's hardest on like as we go up in age, it gets easier. So like in our house. So I think it's hardest on the baby. It's tough on my daughter. And then like it's easiest on me, although my wife is technically a little bit older than me, but I think it's the easiest for me because I'm still running, so like the main thing that I want to do, I'm still able to do here. So like that really doesn't change all that much. The big differences are, not having in-laws around, one for their company, it's nice to just be around more people. That's a big difference and it impacts all of us. But from like a practical, like difficulty perspective, there's a, they have a washer and dryer in the unit, in their house. We don't have a in-unit washer and dryer. There's a dishwashing machine at my mother-in-law's house. There isn't one here. My mother-in-law did a lot of cooking, so it's like, there's like those things, but like, that adjustment's easy. The space though is a little bit more challenging for all of us. But I do think that like living somewhere else for a little while really made me realize how like I used to think that I didn't take up very much space in this apartment, but I feel like I've realized now that I dominate the space. And so like I'm really taking the opportunity to look inward and be a more like thoughtful about like kind of like where I'm putting my stuff and how often I'm kind of tidying up and just all that kind of stuff. So like it's a time of reevaluation. So I guess it's been good, but my wife and I have also been talking about like, how long do we need to stay? Are we going to stay here? Are we here for good, or should we go back to Iowa, for a while longer? So that's something else that we've been talking about too. Just because it's not like, vaccines aren't around the corner for like normal people here in Chicago. So it's like, well, as long as school's still remote, which is another big thing here. School, there might be a teacher strike coming up here in Chicago too. So we'll see kind of like what's happening. It's a lot of things are up in the air. Jonah says, I wanted to ask about the Zoom Streak 7. How long would you say they can last? I didn't run in the Zoom Streak 7. I ran in the Zoom Streak 6. I don't know if they changed it very much. But those shoes, I mean, the Phylon that's in there, it is, I feel like it's a pretty durable material. I don't know how many miles I had in my Zoom streaks. It's probably about 50. Um, but I feel like they still feel like they're brand new shoes. So like, I mean, I don't really like to extrapolate from 50 miles how long a shoe is going to last. But I mean, for a race flat, it's, I think it'll last you a long time depending on how you're going to use them. I really wouldn't look to use that like every day. Because of the fact that it's a pretty low to the ground type of shoe, an old school racer. I mean, that's like before everything went ZoomX and carbon fiber plates. I mean, that was Nike's marathon racer. But I also feel like it was a pretty tough shoe. I wouldn't want to run a marathon in it. So, I mean, depending on how you're using it, you can make it last for a while, but like, the mileage is a little bit different because it's something that I would, use on the track, use on flat, fast surfaces that are soft, but also on flat road races as well. So, you're going to get at least a couple 100 miles out of those for sure, is what I would say. Stephen Smith said, it's good afternoon here from a snowy London. Awesome. Yeah, I've been seeing on my Instagram and on Twitter lots of pictures of snowy London. It's fun. Jody's here. Says, good day, everyone. Awesome. Martha says, is your wife in the technology field? Yes, she's in the technology field. Steve says, hi, fun in the snow too. Rolled a snowball heavier than me. Yeah, towards the end of our time when we were in Iowa, it just kept snowing. It wouldn't stop. Like we'd get like 3 to 5 inches at a time, and then it would stop for like a day or two, and then like it would snow again, another 3. It just kept snowing, and it was cold, but so every once in a while it would get warm enough to like start melting, and the snow would get real heavy, good for making snowballs and snowmen. Before we left, we made 6 snowmen, so 1 for everyone in the house, and 2 snow dogs. So we made like smaller ones that looked like dogs, kind of like laying down on all fours. And then after that, there was just still so much snow that I was like, I tried to make a snowball, like the biggest snowball that I could, until I just couldn't roll it anymore. And it got pretty big. It was super heavy, and like I was trying to like roll it by like shouldering it, and I was just like kind of like leaning my weight into it, trying to get this thing flipped over. And then after a while, I was like, it's where it is now. It's not going to move because it's so big. But that was pretty fun to do. It got big real fast. It was amazing. All right. Let's see. It looks like we got, Ben Y says, it snowed for about an hour in London. I think might be it for the season. Yeah, it doesn't snow that much over there, does it? And Altigen says, we're having a 9-inch snow tonight. Whoa, that's a lot of snow. Awesome. I think I saw Dr. Josh in here a little while ago. What's going on, Josh? Good to see you. And Batman wants to know, did I get the COVID-19 vaccine? No, I didn't. I mean, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. And I hope the rollout just goes a lot faster. It seems like, here's my big concern. It feels like there's 2 problems with the vaccine, not with the vaccine, but with the rollout. One is like the infrastructure. Like, there's nowhere in this country that's used to giving, administering a shot of something to everyone in a short period of time. So like infrastructure needs to be created. Like in New York, they're building all these like vaccine centers and like mass vaccination centers, which I think is great. It takes time, but it's great once it's built. But then, everyone needs to get doses. There aren't enough doses. So I feel like right now, while everyone's complaining about how there aren't enough doses, I really hope that we're taking this time where we don't have any doses and can't be giving out shots to build up that infrastructure. So that way, when the doses do arrive, we could just show up somewhere in like a giant line, and just like someone can go down and just go like boom, 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 and just give out shots. Like that's what I really hope. So hopefully that's going to happen soon. The last I heard about Chicago is that like regular Chicagoans who aren't first responders or vulnerable populations at the end of May. So basically June. So I'm hoping for June. I'm hoping for at least June to like have some sort of like idea of when I would get it. My wife said we got an email she got an email from the doctor. We have the same doctor, but she said she got an email saying that like, you can get the vaccine from us. We don't have any for you yet, but just letting you know, like, we're planning on getting it to you. So like, that's at least good. That's a step, I suppose. Lee Joyce Chung is here. What's going on? She said watching the Green Bay and Tampa game and you at the same time. Awesome. Very cool. Joshua Relton says, what's your favorite spot to run through in Chicago? Hope you won't leave us. My favorite spot to run through, I mean, generally, other than the lake, kind of like just generally, my two kind of like, well, I guess this isn't the lake. Well, there's two favorite spots. One is out by the planetarium, because then when you get out by the planetarium, you get a nice view of the city behind you. The other is right along the lakefront path, just south of North Avenue, when you're looking right at the Hancock building. Hancock building is one of my favorite architectural structures. And when you're running down that stretch, you get like a nice clean view of it. So that's kind of like my favorite spot. The other spot that I really enjoy running is under the bean, even when there's a lot of tourists there, because it's just a beautiful sculpture. And I mean, when there's people there, kind of like adds to like the ambience and the shot that you get when you're running through there. So Scott wants to know, what would be a better purchase, a Stride or a GPS that has navigation? I have the Pace 2. I would say for me, it's the Stride, because the maps function is useful, but I mean, frankly, I'll probably still be able to get lost even though I have maps on a watch. So it doesn't like move the ball much or move the needle much for me, if you want to think of it that way. But I also think that it depends on like what your more like frequent use case is. For me, at least, especially now back in Chicago, GPS isn't always great when you're running through a urban area. And so having the Stride FootPod is really useful for me. Plus now I'm also looking at the power numbers pretty frequently. So that's like a double like usage, the two places where it's really important. If I were doing more like running around trails where I could potentially get lost more frequently, like if I was in a giant park with multiple, like a lot of the parks that I've been running in Iowa, there's not a lot of, I mean, I've still managed to get lost. There's not a lot of opportunities to get lost. There's only a couple of like routes that you can possibly go on. But if you go to a place where there's just like trails on trails on trails, then like the maps and the navigation could be really important. But for me, I'd say Stride. Especially with that Pace 2. That Pace 2 is pretty powerful of a watch. So I combine that. But then again, with the Stride, I mean, Pace 2 worked with Stride to get their to develop their power numbers from the wrist. And so like I wouldn't do it just for the power. I would do it more for power and also the pace and distance information. Gustavo Ramon wants to know, what conditioner do I use? I use Tresemme. I think that's what it is. I don't know. It's one of the ones that comes on the bottom shelf in the shampoo and conditioner aisle. Martha says, how are you dealing with public spaces like the elevator? Do you about who was in there right before, maybe unmasked, even when it's empty? I don't worry about it too much. I mean, sometimes we'll get in an elevator when like someone has just come out of there. And that does concern me a little bit about that fact. But the building has for a while now required masks in all public spaces. Now, I can easily imagine that a lot of people might take off their mask when they're in an elevator by themselves and then just mask back up when the doors are about to open. So it's a potential concern, but one of the ways that I've been dealing with it is I've been taking the stairs whenever I'm by myself. Which isn't frequent. It's actually it's one of the rarer things for me to be able to take it by myself, because I'm usually with the dog or with the kids. But if I'm by myself, I'll just take the stairs. And it's been a good workout, so I've been tired. But yeah, I mean, if we like hit the button for the elevator and someone's already in there, we won't get in. Other people will, but I mean, that's up to them. But it's not something that we're comfortable with. The nice thing is, fortunately for our family, there's a bunch of us. So it's easy to be like, no, like I'm sure you're comfortable, or maybe you would be comfortable, but like it gets crowded real fast when you got 2 kids, you know. And then if there's the 4 of us, there's also usually a dog too. So by then it's like, no, we'll just take our own kind of thing. Sue N says, "Happy Sunday, everyone." What's going on, Sue? Dr. Funk says, "Random thought. Here are my rankings for the current top mustache runners: Craig Engels, Jared Ward, Jack Rayner, Josh Sanchez." Oh, that's a good lineup. I don't know who Jack Rayner is though, but I'm familiar with all the other mustaches in that lineup. Yeah. Craig Engels. Who's had the mustache longer though? I feel like are there pictures of a non-mustachioed Craig Engels around the internet, or was he always like? Did he always have a mustache once he got to like the college and pro scene? Because I feel like Jared Ward, he's the kind of guy that you're like, that guy was probably born with a mustache, right? Because it just looks so like natural on him. I don't know. All right, let's scroll down a little bit. Simon Wesley says, "Good evening from snowy London. What's your action camera of choice?" I think the GoPro is the better camera, but I love using the Insta360 One X2. I just wish that it had a little bit better image quality to it, but I just love the flexibility of it. I love the angles. I just feel like it just gives me a lot more. But, you know, the footage is a little bit grainy, a little bit gummy sometimes, a lot of times. Let's see. Yeah, Rats Chicago says, "We live in a classic Chicago apartment and we've been entering through the alley for a year now." Yeah, that makes sense. Paul Kane said, "Managed a 9-mile run in deep snow in North Wales." Yeah, running in deep snow. It's so exhausting. He says, "I'm thinking it'll freeze tonight, making running next week tricky. It's all country lanes that never get gridded." Oh yeah, that makes it tough too, because then once people run on it or drive on it, then it gets all matted down and even slipperier and messier. Whew, that's gonna be tough. I'm glad you got through today. Okay. Ben Weiss is sponsored by Tresemme. Who was it? It was Molly Seidel's sister, who is her sister, right? Who had like some sort of like post like shower like shampoo, like she's like, "I want to be sponsored by the shampoo. I'm not sponsored by the shampoo, but I really love it." And the shampoo company definitely like noticed it. But that was pretty funny. I was like, I want to be sponsored by a shampoo company, but that probably wouldn't happen. Dr. Fung says, "Yeah, just take the stairs. You need to get some bird in anyway." I know, that's what I've been doing. It doesn't work for the dog. He's old, but even when he wasn't old, he's always had kind of a bad back. So early in the pandemic, I made him take the stairs, or I carried him, because I was like, I'm not going in the elevator, because that back then were just hopping in the elevator, even though there's people in there, and they weren't wearing masks, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with any of this. So I would walking the dog, I would just carry him down the stairs. But like, I guess I could do that with the dog, but with the kids though, I can't carry those kids. They're big and heavy now. So, or they're just getting grown. They're not heavy, but they're growing up. So they couldn't, I don't know that there would be a lot of complaining coming up the stairs, and they would want to be carried, and I wouldn't be able to carry them. Let's see. Someone has a question. Leona says, "Have you decided what you'll be training for next?" I haven't. But I was thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, we're nearing the end of January. By no means is the winter over here, but you start to kind of see like the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the winter. It usually snows at some point in April's around here too. But I was thinking like, once it starts to get a little bit nicer, it's not quite as miserable in the mornings, maybe it'll be time to start training for something. And so like kind of very loosely, what's going on here? Why am I not in focus? There we go. I've been thinking about trying to do something, either like a solo time trial or maybe a virtual race. Something for like the end of April is kind of like what I'm aiming for. I just feel like that would be, kind of like a nice way to kind of kick off the warmer months. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about doing. It won't be like an A race kind of thing. It'll just be like, let's get in a solid block. And have like a pretty conservative effort, just like have a strong finish, just feel good about a race, not really shooting for PBs, but like, starting to get like, tuned up again, or a tune-up race, if you will. So something along those lines. Let's see. Chris Dyke says, the Path Coast shirt is on the way. Happy to see medium still in stock. Surprise, large and XL sold out. It's usually small and medium first to go. Yeah, I mean, I think what they did with the sizing is they based it off, I'm sure, like, I don't know exactly what they did, but I think what they were doing is they were going to go with who signed up on the email wait list and kind of like gauge off of that what they were going to do on top of it. So I'm guessing that if they sold out of larges and XLs, maybe a lot of people that needed large and XL didn't sign up for the waiting list, or maybe more people bought that weren't on the waiting list than they were anticipating. So, yeah. Dr. Funk says, Kofuzi, I can't wait for the next sub 3 hour marathon attempt. Walmsley says, third time is the charm. Well, it'll be my third time too, right? Yeah, it'll be my third time too. But I don't think the next one will really be. I think the next one will probably be shooting for somewhere, to be more realistic, somewhere around like my BQ time, which will be like 3:10. So like that's probably more where we'll go. So something that is going to need me to like work a little harder, but something that should be pretty attainable. And then, from there, depending on how I feel, do we then ramp up, like do another couple of finishing touches to get to another attempt relatively quickly, because then by then maybe we're thinking like June or July, and if there's a vaccine by then, but then it's hot. So, I don't know. I'm just going to play it by ear, really hoping that like it can get to like a real race late in 2021. And that'll probably be like the big attempt we then. So we'll see how that goes. Mark B says, do you think a running watch is really necessary? I can see most things on my phone already. What can I improve on if I buy a watch for heart rate, for example? Well, I mean, the one thing that you mentioned, heart rate, is something that I don't rely on my watch to do. So you can buy an external heart rate monitor and get heart rate on the watch, heart rate on the phone. Here's the thing. I mean, there's a couple. Do you need one? Necessary? No. Your phone isn't necessary either. All you need is shoes and clothes. So like if we're talking about necessary, the phone, the GPS running watch isn't necessary. Here's what was happening to me and why I finally bought one. Well, my first one was a gift from my wife for my birthday. But their main reason was my phone, I was using it to listen to music, and it was also recording my runs. When the temperature started to drop, doing all those things in cold temperatures made the phone die after about 40 minutes. Granted, it was a little bit older of a phone, kind of towards end of its like anticipated life cycle, but that's what happened. So phone, I don't know if it's just because it's bigger, like a big slab, and it's more susceptible to cold or what, but my phone tends to die if I'm using it to listen to music in winter running temperatures. My watch, I've only had a watch die on me once ever from cold temperature. And usually if I think it's going to be super, super cold, if I just keep it covered with the wrist of like my jacket, then it'll keep it running long enough to record the entire activity. So that's the main reason why I think it's, it could be useful. The second reason is that phone GPS is pretty crappy. And so like for the, I don't really even, So like for the iPhone, for example, like I think that they piggyback off of Wi-Fi for location information and stuff like that. So like to kind of like ping or triangulate itself. But I think that your pace and distance information goes super crazy. for example, there was a period of time where Strava kept congratulating me for having PRs in 1 mile segments during my runs. And it was telling me, congratulations on running a mile in 2 minutes and 43 seconds. And then following that with a 2 minute and 45-second mile. And I was like, that clearly didn't happen. People are going to think that I was like riding a bike or driving and trying to get on some leaderboard in Strava. All I did was run home. And so like, I think just because the GPS was like trying to figure out where it was and placing me in different places, because I don't know, because of the urban signals, that got all goofy. And so then if that's goofy, then your pace information is goofy. And so like it just threw it all, everything was off. And so those were some of the things that kind of like pushed me towards getting a watch or a dedicated device. It just got to the point where this convergence device was doing too many things and just wasn't useful anymore. All right. Jeffrey Leonard says, just gotten rain in my Kofuzi Path Project shirt today. Love it. Awesome. Thanks for getting one, Jeffrey. I really hope you continue to enjoy it. Hi, CR says, hi all, where would I find the link for the shirts? Thanks. You can get it at pathprojects.com. All one word. I don't know if they've changed their website, but as of like a couple of days ago, there was like a little thing of like a little spot for it right at the top of the page. So you should be able to find it there. Vegan Runner says, oh, where'd it go? It just, yeah. Well, Albert says, agree. GPS off the cell network is always spotty. And where did it go? Something, Vegan Runner had something similar to that. Yeah. Yeah, he says his phone is chunky. Don't like running with it. But he said there was something way early. Sorry. I've missed on a lot of the comments up here. But yeah, similar kind of stuff. Paul Kane says, intrigued on this Carbon X2 comparison to the New Balance TC in today's video. I thought the Rocket X replaced my TCs, but not the same feel. Yeah, I think that the Rocket X, and I think it's been a while since I run it, so I'd like to get another chance to run in it before I comment like a lot, but definitely I'll be doing the comparison video between the Rocket X and the X2. But like here's where like that TC comparison can be a little bit misleading. The Fuel Cell TC is definitely like a springy, super soft cushion and super springy like carbon fiber plate feel to it. But the impact feel, where it's like it's almost like catching your foot, that feel is very similar in the Fuel Cell TC. And the overall kind of like comfort, like relatively speaking from like a racing shoe perspective, like the feel was very reminiscent, like running in those two shoes. I mean, they both have like thick stack height. And they both have like the Achilles flare. So there's a lot of like visual similarities in my mind too. But I just felt like the impact feel was very similar. And like the level of like that kind of spring, that catch was very, very close. So a lot of things that just reminded me of that shoe. The Rocket X is more just like, it's more like the Carbon Rocket, but with, more foam in it. But on the other hand, it doesn't have the same magic of the carbon fiber as the Carbon Rocket did. And so it still has that like almost invisible carbon fiber plate where it's there, but you're not really feeling it at any point in the foot strike. So it kind of, the Rocket X did remind me a little bit of the X1 or the Carbon X in that sense, in that like I still wanted more carbon feel to it. So the Rocket X is a shoe that I was probably like, I don't want to say disappointed, but it was very different than what I was expecting. So like there's dissonance there. So like that's a shoe that I just need to spend a little bit more time with, I think. Sancho says, register for the LA Marathon, make it a family trip, May 23rd. I mean, that'd be a great time of year, I think, but I have a feeling that our family won't have vaccines by then, and so we're probably not going to fly anywhere in that situation. All right, let's scroll down. I'm missing on a whole bunch of. I'm way behind. Oh, Dr. Raminator, I saw this one. Had a good point. Under Armour has shorts with a built-in speed pocket that is great for carrying your phone close to your waist with no bouncing at all. That's, yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of companies are coming out with that either in their half tights or kind of like they're making shorts with like a longer liner, almost kind of like the spandex short underneath the running short kind of thing, where they have those like those side pockets. It's kind of like a very tight, snug to the side area. The other thing that I think you can talk about in terms of Under Armour in like the running with your phone department is that a lot of, I think all of the Under Armour running shoes now have the built-in foot pod. So you're getting that pace and distance information from the foot pod itself. So that could be a solution for a lot of people too. Yeah, I gotta get some more I gotta get some Under Armour shoes. I was watching Morgan McDonald's YouTube channel, and he was gonna try and unbox all this stuff that he got from Under Armour, but I guess he like reached out to the sponsor and they were like, no, you can't show that stuff on camera yet. So he had to blur it all out. But I'm very curious to see what that is. So yeah, I think I'll definitely be, well, I hope to look at some Under Armour shoes this year, but this year's going to be insane. I finally saw some pictures of the Boston 10. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the Boston 10. Although for the Boston purists, I don't know if they're going to like it. I really don't know. So it'll be really interesting to see. I'm also super excited for the Adios 6 because I feel like over the past several years, the Adios has been getting thinner and thinner and thinner. The Adios 5 was at a point where borderline, I'm like, I really can't run in this. I'm not strong enough for it. Like it just hurt. Like there just wasn't enough underfoot. It was just hurting my feet. And so I was like, I don't know what do they do for the 6? Like, do they keep it getting thinner and thinner? But it looks like it's going to have a much thicker midsole this time around. I don't know. I'll have to look at I don't know what the numbers are, so maybe I'm wrong on that. But it looks like it's going to have a lot more cushion to it, which makes it very exciting, I think. So Adidas is going to have a good year this year, I think. Let's see. Martha says, with my phone problems on Strava, you are risking being named a Strava wanker. I mean, this was years ago before I think Strava wankers was a term. So it would have been like 3 years ago at this point. But yeah, I'm sure that there were people that were pissed off about it. I mean, and I used to tweet at Strava about it too. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, I didn't do this. I didn't ask for this. But like, and they would just be like, sometimes that happens with phone GPS. They try to explain it to me, but I'm like, how do I get myself off this leaderboard? Because I don't want to be on it, Rotor Review says it's 245 mile. I was the man. I was. Yeah, that's funny. Let's see. Rats Chicago saying he's finding that the RC Elites are oddly perfect for long snow runs. I'll have to try that. I mean, I do love like the grip, like the pattern on the outside. I mean, when I look at it, I'm like, that seems so silly to put on a race shoe. That can't be a good decision. But it seems to work, and it's super grippy. So I'm like, what were they thinking about when they were like, regular race shoe grip isn't grippy enough. We need to really do something different and bold. That's kind of like what I want to know. Today, when I was outside going for a walk with the family, I didn't see any RC Elites, but I did see someone else with some Carbon X2s, and I was like, awesome. I saw a lot of good shoes out there today when we were walking on the family walk. I saw a pair of Endorphin Speed, a pair of Endorphin Pros. I saw some Carbon X2s. I mean, it's amazing. It's great to see so many like shoes out there on like real people. I just haven't seen other people running in so long, so it's been nice. But I'm also concerned because like there's a ton of running groups that are running. I mean, people are running in pairs. I mean, there's enough that I'm like, this can't just be like people from the same household running together. And there's people running in large running groups, and I guess people are cool with that. I'm guessing it's been okay, but like it just. I don't know. I feel like I've been in a bunker for a long time, and like I didn't like. I don't know. I just like coming out from underground, and I'm like, people are doing what? So I don't know. It's been strange to see. Sean Gresham says, I hope Adidas doesn't do weird thing with their shoes like they did the Boston 8. I mean, the Boston 10 is a big departure from what we've seen in the Bostons lately. So, yeah. Mile Ivanov says, hi, Kofuzi, do you have any experience with the Adidas Adizero RC2? I don't. What I understand about the RC2 is that it's pretty similar to the SL20, but it has more of a kind of like a racing upper rather than like a daily trainer type of upper. And it's a little less, like if they've like shaved off a couple of millimeters of light strike. I believe the drop is still the same, but there's a little bit less light strike in there. So intended to go even faster. So it's a little bit of a race shoe. Julio Rivera says, low heart rate training is very frustrating. Any tips? I would say make sure you have an external heart rate monitor, like a chest strap or an armband. If you're having problems with the chest strap, it might be because it's wintertime. Try the electrode gel. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're having a hard time with it and you live in a hilly area, try doing some runs on the treadmill or run walks on the treadmill. It's a lot easier to keep a very controlled environment so that way you can kind of at least hope to get into some sort of rhythm without hills kind of like, you know, spiking your heart rate here and there as you go over them. So that's one thing that I would think about. I've been thinking a lot about low heart rate training in the week that we've been back, and it seems weird that it's only been a week, or not even a week that we've been back. But when we were in Iowa, like it wasn't mountainous there, but it was hilly. And like, so it was very difficult for me to stay within my heart rate range. And so what I typically found was either I was spending most of my time right in my heart rate range, and whenever I was going up a hill, I would peak over that a little bit in terms of the heart rate, or I would stay within my heart rate range by shooting for staying way underneath my heart rate, kind of like speed limiter. So I was like, if this was where I was starting heart rate training, I think it would have been like even more impossible to do than it was here, where in Chicago, where it's super flat. So try to find somewhere that's super flat, or hit the treadmill and kind of like figure out what pace you can like set it and forget it at, so that way you can get in your time and just focus on that. But I mean, also know that it is very frustrating, so that's all normal. Let's see, there was a question here. Dr. Funk 1216 says, do people in Chicago recognize you when you're out, and do your kids know you're a running celebrity? I think my kids kind of know. Well, the kids know that I'm on YouTube, you know, and that people come to the live stream. So they know that. They're aware of that. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really a running celebrity, but I think the kids have some kind of awareness of it. That not everyone's dad like does live streams and like reviews shoes in their spare time. But do people recognize me? Sometimes. Like yesterday, someone yelled at me. Someone yelled at me like, "Yo, what's going on?" So I was like, "Yo." So I do get that like every once in a while. I normally run in the mornings pretty early, so that tends to be a little bit of an older crowd, I find, in Chicago. I feel like the younger runners, like immediately post-collegiate runners, tend to run after work. So I mean, it's a very broad generalization, but the people that I tend to see running outside in the mornings tend to be people who aren't really watching YouTube. So once in a while I'll get recognized. Usually it's on the weekends because more people are out. People are in their running groups. Not everyone lives by the lakefront. So, but a lot of people will come to the lakefront to do their really long runs or run with their run groups. So on the weekends it might happen. Like one or two people might say hi. Jared Dew says, do you think the Nike's new lineup is too heavy? I'm not familiar with the entire lineup, but I have a feeling that the answer is going to be yes. I feel like the lineup was heavy last year. But I mean, because like without the turbo in there, it felt like everything skewed to being like really like big. And so I don't know. And I think this year with the Peg 38 getting puffy, it's like it's like 37 plush, right? So like I really hope that they tinker with the React in the 38 and make it a lot softer, make it more like, for example, the Peg Trail, Peg Trail 2, or like the Terra Kiger, or the Epic React. But like the amount of like stiffness that was in the React foam and the Peg 37, I felt like was not optimal. I do like that there's React in it. I just want it to be a little bit bouncier, I guess. And I think if I do that, then I can live with the weight. But overall, like every shoe seems to be a lot heavier than I would want it to be. So, I mean, whether that's necessarily bad, I'm not sure, but it concerns me. It's something that I keep an eye on. CV76 says, if I see someone wearing alpha flies in the grocery, game over. That's funny. That's funny. Dr. Font 1216 says, is Boston 10 going to get rid of Boost? Is it finally dead? I was watching TFXC's video, and it looks like the Boston and the Adios are both going to be losing Boost. So the Ultra Boost 21 has more Boost than ever. So Boost isn't completely dead, but from their performance line, you know, it's gone. There's no Boost there, so it's dead. It's Light Strike and Light Strike Pro is the combinations that are going to be in those shoes. So they'll still be doing like dual foams, which I'm usually not a huge fan of, but they're going to do it. Adidas tends to do it better than other brands do in terms of mixing dual densities. So yeah, but they're getting rid of Boost. It looks like, if the photos I've seen are accurate, you know. So, or not that the photos wouldn't be accurate, but if the photos of what they have now end up being what reaches production, then yeah, there won't be Boost in there. Albert says, seems like Edba really liked the Reebok Float Ride Forever Energy 3. I mean, he's been a big fan of the Reebok shoes generally. I'll definitely be running in more Reeboks this year. Who was it that I saw? They just got, I think it was Doctors of Running just got in not the Forever Energy, the Run Fast. Three is it? The next version of the Run Fast came in for them. They're going to be testing that. That one looked really interesting. I did like the Forever Grow, or the Float Ride Grow. I did like that one. So like, definitely interested in what Reebok's doing this year. All right, we got a super chat. Let me go find, where did that one go? Sorry about that. From Angel Aparicio, New Balance TC versus Atreyu Artist. Big fan. The Atreyu Artist is lighter, but the New Balance FuelCell TC, I feel like, has a stronger carbon plate to it. There's more carbon bounce, both on impact and on push off, so both ends of the carbon like response. But it is heavier. There's definitely more shoe there. So, I mean, overall, I'd probably give it to the TC, but I think the Artist is almost half the price of the TC. So like, there's, depends on really what's going to motivate, what are going to be like the main motivators for your decision. But as far as like just price aside, putting the shoes up head to head, I'd probably go with the TC. But I think I also love the TC more than most people do. Like, I don't know, the more I run in it, the more I just really seem to like it. So it's a really good shoe. But the Atreyu Artist. Oh, and some people have asked me. I did an update on the Artist a couple weeks ago, and they told me that it was some sort of TPE, right? I think TPE. But then the Artist that they were saying is some like thermoplastic something. I forget some other chemical-y words. And I followed up with Atreyu on it, and they were like, yeah, long story. And then they explained the story. But basically, I have what's going to be in the final version. I think that the version that I have has less carbon in it. So the production version of the Atreyu Artist is going to have a thicker carbon fiber plate in it. So that might diminish the gap between the TC and the Atreyu Artist. Because mine is like a 1 millimeter thick plate, and I think the production version is gonna have a 2 millimeter thick plate, so it's gonna have a little bit more kick to it. So I can't. I mean, I guess I thought I had a pretty close to production version of it, and I still think I do. But I mean, if that gets a little bit more carbon to it, I think that'll make it even better. Yeah, both are good. And thanks for the super chat. All right. Let's see. We got a question here from Rats Chicago says, to be honest, I think it'd be pretty hard to pick him out of all the people out there. The giveaway is the stick. You know, people, what I usually see is people might see me, and then I could see them look at the stick, and then they look up at me again, and then they'll be like, you, yo, like they'll do it like that. And I'll be like, yeah. But it is harder now because in the winter, I've got winter hat and a mask, like my neck gaiter on over my face. So like you're only seeing like this of me. But I mean, like, and I'm not the only one that runs in like all black clothes out here either. So it's like, you know, it'd be really easy to be like, is that Kofuzi or is that just an Asian dude running along the lakefront? But I did see today someone running with a GoPro on a little stick. It was a stubby, so it wasn't an extendable selfie stick, and it was a woman. So I was like, oh, awesome. I wanted to be like, are you on? I should have stopped and be like, are you on YouTube? What's your YouTube channel? Just to kind of encourage that. But she was running with her selfie stick and filming the lake as she was running, and I thought that was great. Teddy Man says, Kofuzi, I knew you from your videos with the clean shaved face and formal hairstyle. What happened? COVID? I mean, pretty much. I mean, I haven't seen a barber in about a year. And yeah, and so I don't got to show up to work anywhere, so not like I need to shave. So that's kind of the main thing. Matt Vo, good to see you again. Matt says, my right calf has been tight, and sometimes my right big toe falls asleep while running. What's the deal here? Did you get new shoes? That's something that I would think sometimes that happens to me. New shoes, and the arch of the shoe pokes your foot. Sometimes as it's doing that on a new shoe, like before it kind of breaks in, it might be like not pinching, but like kind of like hitting a nerve or something that's different than what you're used to, and that can make like a tingling sensation or a toe fall asleep. So that's kind of what I would think. The other thing could be that I would see it like if something started happening like that, I would say, what did you change? So that's what I would look at. And if the right calf has been tight, I mean, all of those things, it could be two different things causing that problem or one thing causing both. And if you've got a calf and a big toe problem, I would say like, what's going on with your knee and what's going on with your hip? How do those feel? Jared Dew says, do you ever get video sponsors? I don't seek them out. So I've had people offer it up sometimes, but because like usually the way they'll offer that up is like, would you be interested in reviewing product, this, and that? We have a budget that we can work with, right? And that's kind of like their way of saying like how much. And I'm usually just like, feel free to send me a review unit, and that's it. And I leave it at that. And then if they're like, all right, well, here's what we want like, sometimes people will be like, we'd really love to get footage of you unboxing it and explaining how the buttons work and all that. And usually I'm like, I'll take it into consideration. Then there's other people that are like, we want to do a video and, we expect 14-day turnaround so that we can review it before it gets published. And I'm like, no, thanks. So like that kind of stuff, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna deal with that. So like the money makes things really messy. And so I don't really like doing the video sponsors. I mean, I would love to get like Audible to sponsor a video or to be a channel sponsor. That'd be even better. Those kinds of things. But like, since I review stuff, it makes it very tricky in my mind to be able to do reviews. So I try to stay away from the money about it. I have done it before. Years ago, I did a video on like a laundry add-in for like stinky runner clothes, and they paid me money to do that video. And I was like, all right, but like, you know, you don't get to see what it is. Once I get the product, you know, no communication, and that's it. I might hate the video. I might hate it. But I'll let people know if I think it's worthless. And they were like, we're willing to take a bet on that. So I was like, okay, we'll do that. But I just, you know, it was just like, it added so many layers of like annoying stuff that I was like, it's not worth it. I mean, I suppose if the money were really good, then I would deal with that, but I'd rather not. And it says, I think someone shouting, yo, what's going on would be great. What's funny is like people have been like before the pandemic, when I was running out on the lakefront, people would yell that to me. I mean, that's how I would know if someone knew me from the channel. People would yell like, yo, what's going on? And usually I'm so like out of it, just running and in my own little world, that I just go, hey, I'm like, wow, hey, someone recognizes me. So I'm just kind of like that. That's my normal response. So I'm out of practice now, but I had been like really working on, if someone says, yo, you got to say, yo, what's going on back. So like I had to work on it, but now it's pretty like much ingrained. So now I do say, yo, what's going on back. Rick Vegas says there's more background lighting these days. No, there's just a white wall behind me. That's really what it is. That's what helps. Normally I have like the same amount of lighting, but the room behind me used to be black or like dark. The lights were off. So that's what you would see. I do like this, prefer this to the other background, but where I'm at the dining room table. So like these days to set up and everything, like I have to take everything down and then put it all back up before every live stream. So it takes a little bit more time. But, you know, that's kind of like one of the things that you do when you live in a smaller space. All right, let's do one more and then I got to get going for the day. Let's see. Matt Votu, well, end of this one. What happened to E-Tonic? That's a good question. They were big. They're big. What happened to that? I don't know. All right, we'll end on that one for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I had such a good time talking to you guys. Hopefully you guys had a really great Sunday and have a good Sunday night. Tomorrow's video, I think I'm gonna do, we'll see if I can get to it or not, but I've been wearing this Whoop band and I think I'm ready to kind of give my long-term thoughts on this Whoop band. I think you guys, everyone here probably already knows what I think about it, but I'm debating on like how technical does my like final wrap up need to be, and I'm trying to convince myself that the answer is not very technical, but like, yeah, so that's what I'm kind of like kicking around in my head. So if there's a video tomorrow, that's what it'll be on, but I'm not positive there'll be a video tomorrow. But there will be a live stream tomorrow afternoon, Monday mukbang. I've got a new snack that I'm really excited about, and it is running related. So I think that'll be cool. Hopefully see you guys there tomorrow, 3 p.m. Central Time, same time as today. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.